Welcome to the Film Dogs Meditation Hour. Find your zen with us while we talk about the most anticipated films of 2025. I'm your host, Mr. B. And would you join me in breathing in for 8 seconds? And now exhale through the mouth. We're trying to calm our spirits because somebody might get killed over the movies we're about to draft today.
That was no singing bowl. That was the clanging chimes of doom. Hi, I'm Lord Marcus.
Well, that was the crying of 1,000 voices in the basement of drafts gone past.
Ghosts of 2024 anticipation draft have come back to haunt your co-host, Mr. B. Should we recap last year's?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nah, that's all right. I don't want to make this any more depressing of an evening for you than we need to.
Well, it's good to be back in season 2, Lord Marcus. I've mentioned it before, and it's worthy mentioning again. We took a bit of a break, and part of the reason why, which we haven't talked about on the pod, is I've lost my voice and kind of unsure what the issue is, and I'm awaiting an appointment with a man behind a curtain, like from Oz, to tell me what's wrong. But this is kind of, I sometimes have a voice and I sometimes don't. So we haven't recorded for a bit, and we've been waiting to record, and I currently have a voice. So we were trying to do as many episodes as we can. But in the meantime, I sound like your late night jazz radio host who's playing all the hits from the 20s.
Hey,
Kenny G.
Hey, Dr. B, can you throw in some Coltrane for us, please?
Some Coltrane.
Burn.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I am really good. I've been considering posting some solo reels talking about how you're out on a hero's journey. You've just sort of ruined my whole fantastical approach to explain our absence, because it was going to be a self-serving address, of course.
I'd like to hear your version of it.
I was like, well, here was one sample I was going to have is greetings from Film Dog Land. And this is Lord Marcus broadcasting solo because Mr. B is on a hero's journey. He's out trying to learn how to draft properly.
Ouch. I thought you were going to you could at least make a reference of, I thought maybe you were going to be like, that you would be my Sam and I'm Frodo going to Mount Doom, and you're going to carry me to help get rid of the ring. And instead you're bringing up how bad of choices I made in 2024.
Yeah, well, what would you say that the best film that you drafted for the 24 anticipation draft?
No comment.
Oh my goodness, I don't have one either. You actually traded me your best one.
Yeah, I mean, in my defense, it was definitely way more on brand for you.
Yeah, totally.
And even after watching it, it still wasn't entirely on my brand, except for the soundtrack of Challengers was incredible.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you weren't following along, this is the 2024 draft, which you can listen to, ladies and gentlemen. And the film we're talking about is Challengers.
I loved it. I can't wait to talk about our favorite movies from 24. It's definitely in my top 10. It's definitely in my top 5. And here's what I find interesting about the anticipation draft, and the reason that we do the anticipation draft is because we want to sort of maybe predict what our favorite movies of the year are going to be. And the more that we know our film identities and are confident in those film identities, I think that we can sort of, in a competitive way, sort of set ourselves up for what we really want to watch for this year. And man, I got to tell you, I think 2025 is going to be phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. At the end of this episode, I hope you agree with us. But that's the long and short of it, is that we are in a competitive and friendly and maybe warlike way. We're going to be discussing films that will be released in 2025. We're going to pick our favorites. We're going to alternate back and forth. Now, last year we did 10 picks each.
Yeah.
This year, I propose that I think there's a lot more than 10 each, but there might not be. What I propose is that we do 7 picks, and then we make that a pause and see what the state of our lists are. I think that we will both have another 7, and I don't want to have any limits. We're film dogs. We can do whatever we want. This is our draft league. We can do whatever we want. So we can keep going until neither one of us has any films left that we want. Sound like a deal?
That's a pretty good deal.
Now, the other thing I'd like to address is that in the 2024 Film Dogs Anticipation Draft, I drafted a movie called Mickey 17.
Correct.
By Bong Joon-ho. And Mr. B drafted The Way of the Wind by Terrence Malick. Neither one of which ended up being released in 2024. So we have offline made a deal that we will be able to keep those films, and it's not going to affect tonight's draft at all.
At all.
Now, in another one that I had drafted, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, also did not get a 2024 release. It's not currently slated for a 2025 release. It may come out. It may never come out. Who knows? The state of Kraven the Hunter, I think, has proven that no one wants to go see superhero movies. They might wait until it is going to be where there's a nice surge of some superhero movies coming back, or they need to battle DC. But I'm letting that one go back into the universe, the Spider-Verse. I'm letting Spider-Verse go back into the Spider-Verse. An ascending cycle of transformation and evolution. My man, I'm super stoked.
Dude, the list is long.
The list is long. I'm so curious because your taste has, I don't want to say improved, but it's more in line with what mine is now. Over this past year, since we did the 2024 anticipation draft, man, we have watched some killer movies. We watched some killer movies out of that draft. They were all on my team, but we still watched them all together in the theater. And I swear, like, this year I think is going to be so much better. I'm super excited. Now, when I was doing my prep, I made a little list of all the ones that I wanted, and I'm like, oh, I think maybe 5 of these Mr. B will want. And then I started looking a little closer. I was like, you know what?
You need to look closely, bro. There's a lot.
I cannot predict that he will not totally want more because your taste has more, like, it's matured. The kind of films you like are now more in line with the films I like. So I think that the pool that we are drafting from is going to be a lot more of one shared pool with some outliers of, but I did do a mock draft for you on what I thought would be a very successful draft that doesn't include invading my territory and provoking the beast.
Oh, I think the beast is going to get provoked.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think there's a way around
revelation is upon us.
Do we want to just jump straight into it?
Let's do it. But we have to do our randomizer
Well, of
app.
course, we need to figure out who's going first.
Okay, I've got the randomizer app up. Now, all you have to do is hit that. I'd like you to do it so we know that there's no cheating. Just hit that little arrow next to the.
Does this have a sound effect if I hit it?
It does. It makes a little.
Oh, can you guess who goes first?
By the smile on your face, it indicates that it's Mr. B going first.
There was confetti on the screen. It is indeed
Boom,
Mr.
boom.
B.
As you said on the 2016 draft, that's a shot in the foot.
And did you want to bring up what one of the new rules that we chose for drafts going forward about first pick?
Yes.
If you get first pick.
So in 2025, our drafts now, as we did in the last draft, is whoever is awarded the first pick can defer the first pick and get an extra movie pick outside of that. So
An extra wild card.
An extra wild card.
Yeah.
Yep. But this being a sort of categoryless draft, and we've already said it's sort of free form, free jazz. We're just going to keep going. There's no advantage for you to have.
Are we deciding to go categoryless?
Absolutely, yeah. Just like last year, we're only picking. We're only anticipating. We pick whatever we want in any category because we're
okay.
14 films.
You don't want to put any extra parameters around it.
No, not at all.
Okay, because I was ready to go on both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can. But I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, we obviously could not do Awards Darling. We obviously could not do Box Office Darling.
But the premise of Awards Darling is you're making assumptions.
Yeah, but then what happens if I pick an Awards Darling that doesn't actually make into the Awards Darling? Do I lose that movie off of my list? No, I'd rather genre categoryless.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Free jazz.
Yeah.
Ornette Coleman.
Yeah. We always like to do, can you guess my first pick? And the thing is we can't really do it for this round or probably the second round or any of the guesses for this series because there are so many choices here that I don't think we want to give anything away.
Now, part of that also is that I know for sure.
Yeah.
Last year when we were prepping,
we
did not use the same resources to figure out what was coming out. And so I'm curious this year, a lot of your draft picks I hadn't heard of, and it wasn't in my research. So I was very unaware of what you were drafting last year. So this year I'm kind of like, initially I was like, I know what the top 5 picks are going to be for sure, but I don't know exactly what resource you were using. I'm assuming it was a pretty good one because you said your list is long. But even today, I found 3 more films that weren't on my research that just came up today. So, but I'm pretty confident that I know what the first pick's going to be.
Okay.
I sure as heck know what it should be. And I tell you what, I know what the number 2 pick I know what the number 2 pick's going to be regardless. So
I think we, as the film dogs, have figured out who is of contention between us. And there's a couple directors at the moment.
For sure.
And with the first pick of the 2025 anticipation draft, I'm going to be drafting a film that is currently titled Begonia by director Yorgos Lanthimos. It's supposedly starring Emma Stone, Jesse
The war
Plemons,
is fucking on.
Alicia Silverstone.
Are you fucking kidding me? In the first fucking pick, you're going to take Yorgos? All right.
Dude, what did you... yeah. Number 1, he goes to me. I'm doing strong with my Yorgoses. Yeah. I mean,
Well, I got Kinds of Kindness last year. How are you doing?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Probably why you took it. That's okay. We don't have any eggers to fight over this year. Man, all right.
Oh, dude. I think I know the second pick, but go for it.
Well, my number 1 position was Begonia by Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah.
But I did put an or just in case that you went with that. For my number 1 pick in the anticipation draft, I am taking what has now been retitled as One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and being shot in VistaVision with a $140 million budget.
Yeah. Man, there are 4 number 1s to draft. Cause can I be upset? No, because I had the number 1 pick. I could have chosen that. There's 2 routes I can go. I think I'm going to go for this year is so jam-packed. I have one on the tip of my tongue and I want to say it.
Well, you better.
But I'm wondering if it's more my pick or it's more your pick, but I think it's more both of our picks.
You better go. You better go with the ones you absolutely want, because I'm guaranteeing you right now, based on you taking Begonia, I'm gunning for going off brand.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I just need to see. Okay, shit. Okay. The third pick, I'm going to draft Warfare, which is Alex Garland's next written film, which we were unsure if he was going to continue on. Are you fully aware of this film?
I watched the trailer for it, and it was going to be my number 3 pick.
Yeah, so it's
I'm really surprised that's what you went with. I'm really, really, really surprised that that's what you went with.
Did you not think after all of the Garland we've watched together that my respect for him had reached that point of going like, I kind of need some of his stuff?
If I may reference a previous draft,
Yeah.
the 2016 draft,
Yeah.
why you did not pick La La Land first was because you did not want me to have silence. So you sacrificed the potential of having La La Land.
Yep.
Because you did not want it, because the number 2 pick, you were scared about what the number 2 pick was going to be. So I'm going to tell you right now, what I'm taking with my second pick is The Phoenician Scheme by Wes Anderson.
Damn. Not the problem, because we're recording this live. I get mental blocks out of how there's so many movies. I wanted that one and I kind of blanked on it because there's a lot. Man. There's a lot.
What I said was true. Mr. B was out on the hero's journey. He's on his way back. All right.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, what can I say more about The Phoenician Scheme? It's Wes Anderson. Who cares who's in it? Who cares what it's about? It doesn't even matter. It's Wes Anderson. It's going to be awesome.
Well, we do know that he was unable to receive his Oscar because he was shooting it. I love that. With my third pick, I will
be open to a trade, by the way.
I am going to draft, and we might, maybe at the end of the episode, we'll see if we want to propose any trades. Right. With my third pick, I'm actually going to draft. This is super on brand for me. I think it's on brand for you, maybe right below me, but I'm interested on if you are aware of or if we're wanting to draft this one. Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag, starring Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender.
I actually had that on my mock draft for you at the number 5 pick, so I'm happy for you.
They did drop a trailer, and I didn't watch all of it, and that's one of the things that I like to bring up when we talk on the pod is I don't really watch full trailers anymore. They give away too much, but I did at least want to see. Nothing against Soderbergh. I enjoy him, but we kind of know he's in this different phase of his career where he's making straight to streaming films because he's kind of got a deal at the moment. And some people on other pods and other things that we listen to, and even ourselves, kind of wondering where the juice is at. But he's got, I think, 2 this year that look like he's got the juice.
Yeah, totally.
And the moment I looked at the cast, I went, this looks interesting. So did the premise. We've got a mad crush on Blanchett, and I've got a man crush on Fassbender. And after seeing part of the trailer, I had to have it. And it's going to be on brand, and I feel like I'm going to enjoy the film. So,
totally.
Yeah.
It is in your brand. I was going to send you some recommendations just based on, I just wanted you to be well armed in case your list didn't have everything that was coming out that I saw. And I was sure that was something that you'd really, really like. All right. Good pick. My next pick, I'm going to take Eddington by Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I am a huge Ari Aster fan. That's not quite your brand because I loved Beau is Afraid. Oh my God. It wasn't universally loved, but I loved it. I loved Midsummer. I loved Hereditary. I'm an Ari Aster freak. I love his short films that introduced him to the world. I think the world of him, and I'm glad that he's getting like this good studio involvement with great actors, and obviously reteaming with Joaquin. Super stoked about it. I'm very excited for that. Eddington,
for sure.
Eddington by Ari Aster.
Yeah, I mean, every film mentioned, these are all on my list. I don't know if there's going to be many that aren't really going to be on our list for both of us. I'm going to then go more, another one probably on brand for me. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. Judy, which is going to be interesting.
You're a dirty, rotten scoundrel.
Starring Tom Cruise, not an Mission Possible film. Sandra Hüller.
It's going to be Tom Cruise, and probably the most serious role. I think. Look out, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
nomination for Academy Award next year.
Well,
I would
yeah.
almost guarantee that this is going to be like he's doing this because he wants that Oscar gold. I am super excited about this. Oh my God.
The moment I saw the cast surrounded by Sandra Huller, John Goodman, Jesse Plemons, I went, yeah, he's coming back to his 80s and 90s route. And with the director, he's definitely looking for awards.
And with Sandra Huller in it as well. Oh, a Zone of Interest.
Yeah. And
Tony Erdmann.
Yeah. I told you, man, this year, man, is insane for movies.
All right. Well, I've lost another pick. All right,
dude. I think we've done the proper research, both of us. I'm wondering if you're going to surprise me at all with movies that I'm not aware of.
Probably not. Maybe when we get into the deep diving of the last couple of picks, maybe. All right. But as it is, Judy, very good pick.
Yeah.
My next one, I'm going to go with the new film by Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
Caught Stealing.
Yeah, it was between those two for my next picks. Yeah, well done.
So Darren Aronofsky, if no one's super in tune with who he has directed the phenomenal films Pi, The Fountain, Mother! ! With a host of others. I'm deeply into that sort of surreal, dreamlike qualities where you don't really know what's going on. Sometimes he has these nonlinear narratives. Like it just really, he does this phenomenal work with identity and the psychology of identity and how the lines can be blurred between identity and hallucination, fever dreams. It's very David Lynchy in a way, but he definitely is not. Like, he has his own. He's an auteur. He has his own thing, his own signature style. So excited for this one.
Well, I am going to take Die, My Love, Lynn Ramsey, starring Jennifer Lawrence, Robert Pattinson, Lakeith Stanfield, Sissy Spacek, Nick Nolte. Yeah, I had a movie that we had talked about last year, which hasn't come out yet. Polaris.
Yeah.
Which I still don't have any information on when it's being released.
It doesn't have, there's nothing, it's stalled production. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when I found information on this, and with this cast, I'm hoping it could, and knowing the director, I think this is going to be some more Jennifer Lawrence juice, who I've got a man crush on. So this will be interesting. But that was another one where it was on the list, but seeing what's already been picked, I want this one.
Right on. Moving on to my new pick is going to be The Bookie and the Bruiser.
Nice. Okay. I wondered if you were aware of this one.
I'm aware of everything, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And my first introduction to him was with his phenomenal movie Bone Tomahawk that I drafted in 2015.
Yeah.
But since then, I have watched his other two features, Dragged Across Concrete and Brawl in Cell Block 99. Oh my God, this guy has got the juice. I think based on this, and it's got Adrian Brody and Vince Vaughn. So Vince Vaughn's been in two of his the last two films. And it was like seeing Vince Vaughn in his early, charming, dominating role. This guy knows how to get the best out of Vince Vaughn. I am sure that Adrian Brody is going to be sporting Oscar gold.
Yeah.
So there will be the buzz around that. I can't say enough. I think that, and it's sort of following a story in World War II about a bookie and a thug that helps out, and they're mixing in with the mafia. This guy, this director, he is up and coming. He's going to be hitting 4.5, 5-star films every time he goes out the door.
This was on my list. It was a little lower than other films, but it definitely was there, especially with that casting. Because I haven't watched any of Edgar Wright's films yet. I'm leaving one on the board for you, you jerk. I'm surprised we haven't taken it yet, but maybe I need to take it for trade value.
Take whatever you want. The Luca?
Let's see. Oh gosh.
Dude, you shouldn't be drafting something for trade bait right now, because I literally have another 14 films that I did in your mock draft. You haven't touched any of them yet.
I haven't touched any of them yet. What?
Well, you have. Because I took 3 of them because you took my 3.
Yeah. I think you're. I think I've progressed past where you think I.
I picked movies that I would still pick for myself. I didn't pick bad movies because I think you're going to pick bad movies.
I'm not picking bad movies.
I did a mock draft. Well, last year you did. I knew you would evolve, but I still wanted to. I just wanted to have what I thought was be your brand, which I'd also be happy to have on my team. So on the mock draft, I had you taking PTA and Wes for your first 2 picks. Yeah. But you went and changed up on me. I'm just saying, dude, don't draft right now for trade bait. There is a lot of great movies out there that you should want to have for yourself that will be on brand for you. And still, we're looking at 4.5, 5-star movies that are left, that I would guarantee are be 4.5, 5-star.
I am going to go for, this is kind of going on a limb.
All right.
It's called A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey.
Cool.
And the director
I don't have that one.
Kogonada, who is a South Korean American filmmaker. And you would maybe only know him from directing Columbus. And he's done a lot of shorts, and he's done some shorts kind of around Wes Anderson stuff. And I'll give you the premise because if you're not aware of the film.
Nope, not at all.
It just says, this is from Letterboxd. This is an imaginative tale of 2 strangers and the extraordinary emotional journey that connects them. And it's starring Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Jodie Turner-Smith.
Oh, that should be pretty good.
Yeah. I'm really liking Colin Farrell and his work that he's been doing the last probably 5 films. And I've been wanting to see Margot Robbie in some more and more work, especially in the film that looks like could be super interesting.
Awesome. With my next pick, I'm going to take The Mastermind by Kelly Reichardt, which I am mostly fascinated by this. Although I absolutely love her film First Cow. I'm picking this one for Josh O'Connor, who was I think should have gotten a nomination for at least Best Supporting for Challengers. I just love this guy. And I watched him in his other 2024 movie, La Camera. Mm-hmm. And this guy, I just love him. He is my favorite new actor by far. I just love him. And he's in this. And the premise is it deals with an art heist with the backdrop of the Vietnam War. This is on brand for me, but even if it wasn't, Josh O'Connor for me is worth the price of admission. I can't wait. I'll go see this guy in the movies, in the theater. I'll go opening night. I just think he's phenomenal. I can't say enough about him, but he is the reason for me that Challengers was so successful, along with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and obviously Mr. Guadagnino. So yes, The Mastermind by Kelly Reichardt.
Okay, interesting. Because my last pick was either going to be between this film I'm going to draft now, or what I did just draft, A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. But because you were talking about Josh O'Connor, I'm going to draft The History of Sound.
Right on. Yeah, cool.
Directed by Oliver Hermanus, starring Paul Mescal, Josh O'Connor. And this one is built around World War I and semi on brand for me, but maybe not. It's 2 young men during World War II set out to record the lives, voices, and music of their American countrymen. And especially on the career that Paul Mescal's been having with choices. Interested to see where he's going next, but 100% agree with Josh O'Connor. And very interested to see them together, especially on this film.
Yeah, two up and coming great actors. I thought that Mescal is awesome in everything he does.
Mm.
And anybody that has a complaint about his role in Gladiator 2, you pin that on the screenplay because he carried that. There is no way that you can say that he is not a leading man. He did so good in that movie, and I would say that there were some times where I was like, "Oh, it was the script. It was the lines that were given to him." And even if you thought it was a little flat, that's still the director's responsibility to get, and the editor's responsibility to get the correct scenes in there. But I find him incredibly charismatic and charming and real. I like him a lot too. All right. My next film is going to be from the director of Past Lives.
There you go.
By Celine Song.
I want you to know I left this for you.
All right.
There was
The Materialists.
Yeah. Any more you want to talk about this one?
Anybody that's listened to the back end of our season 1 episodes where we wrapped up 2023, we might not have published that yet. Anyway, I drafted Past Lives as my number 1, and I can't say enough. Her aptitude for conveying emotion on film, I think, at least in 2024, completely unparalleled. Nobody can touch how she leaves this residue of thick, super emotion that's happy and sad. It can make you feel the entire dynamic range of the human emotional spectrum. She has that. And I can't say enough that is so rare, and to like in any time in film history to be able to have such a simple story moves me so strongly. I know not everybody connected with it. Maybe it was a little too unrealistic for people, or maybe the real reason is because no one wants to consider that the person that is the main partner in their lives, a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, what have you, is that they might be in love with someone else. And this explored it so well, and it's such a respectful way to every single one of the characters. So much care given to it. Just phenomenal directing. The premise of this one is that set against the vibrant backdrop of New York City, a high-end matchmaker gets involved with a wealthy man, but still harbors feelings for the broke actor a waiter that she left behind. And it's starring Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal. Yeah. And I love Pedro.
Yeah, that's a solid cast.
I'm not anti Chris Evans. I'm not anti Dakota Johnson. She has the goods to act well. In the 5-star films of A Bigger Splash, she was awesome. Suspiria, she was awesome. Social Network,
yes.
The brief scene she had, awesome. She's been in a couple of duds, but I think
she's still young.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, a lot of those things are the director's and the agent's responsibilities. She's a wonderful actress. She's beautiful. And I think that when she gets teamed up with a really good director that knows how to spend the time getting the performance that she wants, and they won't just do one take and then get out of there, I think that I predict she's going to get nom.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe Golden Globes. Who knows?
Who knows?
There will be an acting nomination for Dakota Johnson in 2025. I think. I'm guessing. Boom. Materialists.
Congrats. This will be my final pick from round 1. And it is going to be Edward Berger's film, The Ballad of a Small Player, starring Colin Farrell again and Tilda Swinton. Dude, I needed Swinton, I needed Blanchett, and I needed Farrell on my team this year. High-stakes gambler decides to lay low in Macau after his past and his debts catch up along with him. Along the way, he encounters a kindred spirit who might just hold the key to his salvation. You might know Berger from a 2020 COVID classic. 2022, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, right on the remake from the foreign film. Was it?
And you're about to know him from Conclave, who this is another main reason I need to do this film as well, is because with this cast, with this director, we could be looking at Academy Awards as well.
Boom, right on. you're hitting into my deep end of the pool, which means that I'm kind of happy that you're not hitting my shallow end of the pool.
Nice.
All right. My next pick, I am going to.
So this will be your final pick.
Final pick of first round.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook.
Talk to me about this one if you have details on that one. This one did not make my list. I don't think I'm aware of it, actually.
Now, Park Chan-wook is the director of The Handmaiden, Old Boy, Decision to Leave, which is his most recent film, which I loved, from 2022 as well. And it was criminally overlooked. Now, this happened to come out in a year of a couple of, for me, and I think for you, Tar, obviously, The Northman, Babylon, for me, Subtraction. So I think it was vastly overlooked, but it is this super Hitchcockian South Korean thriller, and it's just absolutely amazing. I'm not sure. I don't think it's South Korean. I think it's Japanese. Okay. Anyway.
Yep.
He is just this phenomenal. He currently does make the series available in Australia on Binge called The Sympathizer, starring Robert Downey Jr. No Other Choice is his 2025 film. After being unemployed for several years, a man devises a unique plan to secure a new job, eliminate his competition. In the style of Old Boy, I expect it to be extremely graphically violent, but in a very stylistic way that is his own trademark of how he delivers performances in films. And he picks great screenplays. He writes great dialogue. This guy is absolutely one of my favorite international directors. And I would implore anyone to go see Decision to Leave. It is just fantastic. If you like foreign films, even if you don't, this is a great film to watch. And I'm super stoked to close out round one with No Other Choice by Mr. Park Chan-wook.
Park Chan-wook.
And with that, we conclude the first round of the 2025 Anticipation Draft.
So if you need to, this is where we're building in an intermission, as if you're watching The Brutalist, which by now you will not have seen, but you will have to see, because I don't think it really comes out till January everywhere, right?
Yeah, for sure. In Australia, I reckon I have seen a lot of reviews starting to pop up on Letterboxd. Has to be the US. I don't know about the UK or any other places. But yeah, you guys I think see The Brutalist.
No, I was just listening to Big Pick today, and it must be out because one of the producers had mentioned he was watching it on Sunday again in the theater at 9 a.m.
Rewatches are starting to pop up too from people that caught it at festivals and early screenings. So I'm pretty sure. Look, in the U.S., they're going to get the releases in a more timely fashion, which I have found is more about it's the December releases, because for the rest of the year, we tend to get things on time or a week or two before. It's all these awards contenders. And I kind of feel, because based on what's playing at the cinemas right now is all Christmas and children's fare, and that's what people are paying for, and that's what's paying everybody's wages. So I think they're shoving off the art house films for a while just to let the economy flow.
Yeah. Let it flow. They shall.
Like the Spice. Dune 2. Boom. I voted. I drafted. Bam. Cool. Thank you for joining us for round one of the 2025 Film Dogs Anticipation Draft.
Get yourself a drink.
Have a nap.
Have a smoke. I'm just kidding. We don't promote smoking on this podcast.
If it is going to be smoking, I highly encourage you to not. I don't condone smoking. Where's that pack of Marlboro?
What do you condone?
I condone love.
Yeah, like we said on the last pod, stock in love is about to rise.
Because we're all being deprived of it.
Amen.
Amen.
Round two.
Round two. All right, we're back. Welcome back to the Film Dogs 2025 Anticipation Draft, Round 2, post-intermission. Next up is Mr. B.
Take a moment
chimes of doom.
to center yourselves.
Oh my goodness.
Put your feet on the grass.
Wah, wah, wah.
Ground yourself to the world. Breathe in deep.
Wonder why Mr. B didn't draft PTA that's being filmed in VistaVision.
I'm having PTSD thinking about those thoughts.
Or Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme.
Why don't you come over on this side of the table and see what happens?
How about I bring the singing bowl?
The singing bowl isn't working. I'm getting stressed.
I'm going to mold it into a battle axe and remove a digit.
I am going to take a swig from my Ben & Jerry's mug.
Don't ask what's in it. It's transparent aluminum.
With the first round being over and me winning it. Just kidding. My first pick of the second round, the 8th pick, is going to be... Come over here, man. After the Hunt.
Right on.
Luca Guadagnino. I was actually listening to a interview with him this week on a podcast, and he was talking about kind of what he was working on next, and this film came up. And what kind of came up is the fact that he was using Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield in it. And that it's kind of a bit different than some of his other films. It's currently listed in genres as a drama thriller. Who knows if that's going to change? And it is very, as a director, he's way more a Lord Marcus side of the brand. But he's someone that I respect, and I have watched a bunch of his films, and I'm going on a limb for this one, kind of because, like I said last year, I want to be a new man. I want to like good cinema. And if Challengers wasn't my movie, surely After the Hunt could be, right? Right?
I think it definitely would be more you for his fare than Challengers was. With this said, I think to date, out of his film releases, that A Bigger Splash, I don't think you've seen it yet, is the only film that really feels... I know that you've seen Suspiria and Bones and all, and I know that that's not your brand, but I think A Bigger Splash would be, and I think this will be sort of more in that dramatic fare without having this, kind of Yorgos-ly vibe to it.
Yeah.
That's a little peculiar or like horror leaning. I think this will be more straight up, and he's a wonderful director.
The main reason I haven't even seen A Bigger Splash at the moment is because streaming doesn't have it, so I got to rent it or buy it. But it's been one I've been meaning to see for a while, because a lot of people do talk about it that we respect, that like it, and kind of for the vibe that it puts off with kind of Ralph Fiennes in it.
Man, he got robbed that year. That was he owned 2015 with his role. It was so good.
Well, we'll see what happens with Conclave.
We'll see
this
what happens.
Year. Yeah.
I don't want to predict anything over Adrian at the moment because I haven't seen it. So certainly, I don't feel like there's a lot of buzz that saying that he might get the nom, but I think that Mr. Brody's considered the front runner, and so far, I agree with that.
And I chose this up front because one of the picks that I really want, I know is safe. Or at least I think it's safe. Yeah.
Right on.
So I took this one sooner than later.
I'm curious. Will you let me know when you pick that one that you think is safe?
Oh, 100%. Because I'll probably pick it soon, because I don't feel like a lot of my movies are all about fun or anything like that at the moment, and I might have to sprinkle in some, fun.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going something completely on brand. I don't think this would have made your list at all.
I think you'll be surprised, but I am happy to be surprised. I love being surprised. Just kidding. Ask Mrs. B.
Well, I don't think you've watched the other films by this director.
Okay.
Which is Panos Cosmatos. And his movie is called The Flesh of the Gods, which is what I'm going to be drafting. Starring Kristen Stewart, and Oscar Isaac. And the synopsis is, married couple Raul and Alex descend each evening from their luxury skyscraper condo to venture into the electric nighttime realm of 1980s Los Angeles. When they cross paths with a mysterious and enigmatic woman known only as Nameless, she and her hard-partying cabal initiate Raul and Alex into a glamorous, surrealistic world of hedonism, thrills, and violence. An
Lordy.
easier sell never was made.
Lordy.
Flesh of the Gods.
Flesh of the Gods.
My first pick of the second round of the 2025 Film Dogs Anticipation Draft. Flesh of the Gods.
I'm going to go for In the Hand of Dante. Julian Schnabel. Are you aware of this one?
I am not.
You are going to want to be. Does the name ring any bells? So that's the director of At Eternity's Gate. Also, Before Night Falls. Another movie was Mural.
What was the title again? Sorry.
The title is In the Hand of Dante. I'll give you the cast and then I'll give you a synopsis. Oscar Isaac, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Gerard Butler, Al Pacino, John Malkovich, Martin Scorsese.
Oh, goodness.
The genre is thriller and crime. And currently Letterboxd has the original manuscript of The Divine Comedy emerges in the clutches of a black market smuggling ring in New York City's dangerous underbelly. The mob calls weary scholar Nick to authenticate it. Overwhelmed by temptation, Nick defies the mafia and steals the manuscript as he follows a dark and violent path from a metaphorical hell into paradise with his love, Giulietta.
Man, I might want to trade for this one. It sounds awesome.
A parallel tale unfolds the odyssey of Dante himself, a man who trapped in a loveless marriage with Gemma and bolstered only by his mentorship with an austere and intellectual escapes to Sicily and creates his masterpiece.
Boom. That sounds
what a cast.
Extremely badass.
Yes, it's
totally.
very, it could be good or it could be a giant miss. I don't know. You look at that cast and you go, come on, there's got to be something good in it. And I'm glad I got something that you weren't aware of.
Right on. Totally. That sounds so good. I am very pleasantly surprised. Right on. Cool. Okay. The next one I'm going to take, The Bride by Maggie Gyllenhaal.
That made my list, but
starring Jessie Buckley, who I love from, I'm thinking of Ending Things and Men. She's been in a phenomenal amount of things, but those are two of my favorite movies. I am
starring more than that. Good cast.
Oh, totally. I also loved Maggie Gyllenhaal's feature. And I think that with one film under her belt and this super supreme focus in a genre that is more to my liking, I think it's going to be so badass.
I mean, Christian Bale, Penelope Cruz, Annette Bening, John Maggiaro, Peter Sarsgaard. To be honest, I'm surprised. Maybe not. This year is so good for anticipation films. Hopefully they do all come out. Who knows? I'm kind of a little surprised with knowing that you, I had professed that you kind of liked what Gyllenhaal was doing. And we've talked about her as an actress as well. And knowing the cast and the content, I thought maybe you would have drafted it earlier. But because you kept not choosing it, I kept kind of going, I'll save it.
Well, you've kind of gone off. I think you've gone off the main sort of avenue of shared movies at this point. I think we'll probably have some same things on the list.
Yeah.
But I wanted to definitely get what I got off of the board, being that you got 3 of my 4 top 5 picks.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure I got the stuff that was really personable. Cool. All right. What's up next for Mr. B?
I think it's going to be Blue Moon by Richard Linklater. Yeah. Starring Ethan Hawke and Margaret Qualley. Hark. That's something he would say. And it's very on brand for me, but it's also very on brand for you. We're both mutually love Ethan Hawke for years, and now we both mutually love Margaret Qualley. But I'm a Rodgers and Hammerstein guy, and the premise of this film as a drama history, maybe musical, is it's in Broadway hotspot Sardi's restaurant in 1943. Ailing musical theater songwriter Lawrence Hart attempts to save face while celebrating his former partner Richard Rodgers' success on the opening night of his hit musical Oklahoma, which has paired him with a new writing partner, Oscar Hammerstein. So it sounds like it's, the beginning of Roger and Hammerstein working together. We famously respect Richard Linklater. He's famously used Ethan Hawke before and knows how to. Ethan Hawke knows how to direct if he wants to. He doesn't need to star in movies if he doesn't want to. Margaret Qualley, she's a firecracker.
You wait until you watch The Substance, brother.
Mm.
One of her best yet.
Yeah. So this is a one that
hey, look, Linklater's awesome.
Yeah.
The Before trilogy is enough for me.
Yeah, a favorite of yours. Yeah.
If he only did Before Sunrise, Sunset, and Midnight. If those were his only 3 films.
This is his Claire de Lune. Or is this his Return of the Jedi? Referring to our last episode.
Right on. Hey, I will keep us with the Mr. Linklater because I did not have Blue Moon on my list, but I will go ahead and keep us on the subject of him. I'm going with Nouvelle Vague as my next pick.
Okay.
Which is Mr. Linklater's second movie to be released this year. Yeah. And it follows the production of Jean-Luc Godard's French New Wave classic Breathless.
Yeah.
And what I think might happen here is kind of like what happened with Mank, where it was the making of Citizen Kane. And for me, it improved the experience of watching Citizen Kane. And I had my first watch of Citizen Kane very late in life this last year.
Yeah. Same.
And Mank made, for me, it so much like to know. I love behind the scenes. I love knowing what the directors are doing and the cast is doing and the real people behind things. So based on how much I love David Fincher's Mank and I love Richard Linklater, this is the one that I want out of his 2 films coming this year. So Nouvelle Vague for me for next pick.
Well, I'm kind of surprised this is still on the board. But I feel like I need more of this for this year to kind of broaden the spectrum of films. I'm going Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro, which is his adaptation, but it's starring Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, Oscar Isaac, Christoph Waltz. Talk to me. You're a Pan's Labyrinth fan?
Absolutely. Oh my God. By far, for me, his best film.
Okay.
I love Guillermo as a person, and through his interviews and through his social media and through everything that I've read about him, he is a delightful person. He is passionate about
interviews,
film. Yeah. I can't say enough. I feel very warmly for him, but his movies are a bit of a hit and miss for me.
Yeah.
But I loved his Pinocchio. I loved Pan's Labyrinth. Didn't really care for the Shape of Water. Didn't really care for Nightmare Alley. I liked Crimson Peak. So as a hit and a miss, I did have it on my board, and I probably would have picked that right before. We're picking it about at the same time. I went with Linklater at the same time that you did, just to sort of keep us on brand.
Yeah, yeah.
I am excited. I want to see this in the theater for sure. I love the story of Frankenstein.
Did this make your list?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It was next on my list.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'm not quite following my list in order right now, just based on you've been taking some of my deep dives. So
yeah, exactly. Sure. I knew this was going to be good because I knew I was going to surprise you. Have I surprised you with this draft so far?
Well, in two ways you've surprised me. I'm still shocked that you didn't take Wes Anderson, and I'm kind of shocked that you picked Yorgos over PTA. Not totally shocked, because I know that we have enjoyed the shit out of every Yorgos that we've watched, and I know that
kind of, I think, was the.
But we've also enjoyed every PTA that we've watched together. So I just thought PTA was more on brand for you, starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm going to be honest. I froze.
Right on.
I froze.
Okay. Dude, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you, because I had Begonia as my number one, but I was like, just in case he wants Yorgos instead of PTA, my alternate, because I didn't even have PTA on my board except to be a number one pick, kind of like with Killers of the Flower Moon in our 23 draft. Whereas like, oh, you were sure I was going to take it. I took Past Lives, and you're like, oh, this upsets my plans. I've got to take Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was so prepared for you to take PTA, and I thought that would have been more matched for your style. But man, I'm still, dude. They were of equal value to me. For me, I thought that Yorgos was more my brand and PTA was more yours. But at the end of the day,
yeah,
all good.
Yeah,
but that's what's surprising. Now, I'm totally not surprised, since your ass got handed to you in the 24 anticipation draft, that you didn't want to have to live with a year of shame.
Yeah.
Every time one of these movies comes out, it's like, man, that sucked.
I'm tired of crying myself to sleep every night.
No, I'm not surprised that your picks are better, because as I said in the beginning, was that your taste has massively changed and shifted into a way that I don't have to disrespect at all, because it's the same, not completely the same as mine, but we enjoy more of the same movies together than I think that we did a couple of years ago, for sure.
Yeah, we definitely can share a lot of the same films.
And I think because we talk about them a lot, that like, I think the value sort of shines through. And even with movies that you recommend, and like, I've watched a lot of movies this year that I probably wouldn't have given a chance unless you were like, dude, we need to watch this. Case in point, The Ruling Class. I had it on my watch list.
Yeah.
But I might not have watched it this soon. And it was, dude, that was killer. I loved it to death. My God. All right. Frankenstein for Mr. B.
Yeah, man. Which
what's your exposure to the story of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? Have you read the book?
I didn't read the book.
Have you seen any of the old
monster movies? I've seen the old ones.
What about Frankenweenie? Did you see Frankenweenie?
I did not see Frankenweenie. It is one of the, I don't know. I think as a child, maybe it's not a thing anymore, but it's a lore. It's a tale that I feel like everybody knows or that grew up with. And like I said, I'm not sure if that's the case anymore.
No, I think it's ripe to have some of these revisiting, because we kind of have this revisiting of Dracula every now and then. Every now and then. And, well, obviously Nosferatu is sort of Dracula, but like Frankenstein's been ripe for some reimagining.
See,
and with Del Toro doing it, I think it's going to be a home run.
And I chose it on purpose because I like the social commentary that movie, that story, that book has always been about, of man trying to be God, but also I'm a human being. like, oh, why won't you accept me?
Yeah.
And so I kind of like both sides. And I think it really gets deep into the human psyche, and knowing that it's Del Toro directing it, and the commentary that he makes with his version of Pinocchio, and with the cast behind it, especially because he got friggin' Christoph Waltz and Oscar Isaac in it.
I think that it will be very successful regardless, with the demographic that should be interested in it.
Yeah.
I'm not positive that I will love it 5-star. I'm positive that I will like it, because the main problem I had with the films that I don't like of Mr. Del Toro's is the stories that sometimes he's adapted. The ones that he's adapted that I like the story, I love. And the ones that I don't like, it's the story. It's not his directing or the acting performance. It's just that it's not my brand of story. And like, I'm very particular about what kind of stories that I digest. So I'm good pick, man. Good pick. I wanted to pair that with The Bride, but it's good that you've got a Frankenstein themed and I've got a Frankenstein theme. Great. All right, I'm gonna sort of stick in the same vibe of movie.
Yeah.
And for my first franchise film of this year, I'm gonna take Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later.
Yeah, I kind of left this on the board for you.
But you've not seen 28 Days or 28 Weeks Later, have you?
I haven't on purpose. I like Boyle. I like the cast that he put in it. Respect him as a director. Commentary on the film. It's got a very big following. I wouldn't even call it a cult following at this point.
No, not at all.
But it's not really my brand. It would be more of if I were to draft it, it'd be more of me trying to pat myself on the back. And there's too many other movies that I really want.
For like 28 weeks, I'm sorry, 28 years later, you'd be patting yourself on the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah, fair call. But you like Danny Boyle films.
Yeah, I do.
You drafted Steve Jobs.
You're correct, but yeah.
But it's a zombie movie, and I know you're not.
It's not really my brand.
I love The Walking Dead.
You love it, and I kind of left it for you.
I'm a huge zombie. I love Lord Marcus. Loves zombie fiction.
Yeah, you love it,
but not so much. Here's the strange thing about zombie movies. I love some modern zombie movies. I'm not a big fan of the classic zombie movies, and this is going to be kind of like me being a heretic. Lord Marcus is a heretic. Look at his first name.
You are.
Lord. Yes, I am a heretic.
Burn him.
But I love I'll tell you what, I love The Walking Dead. It is easy in my top 3 favorite TV shows of all time. And I think that like The Last of Us has sort of proved that there's still ways to adapt it in this completely fresh way. I will say this, when I saw 28 Days Later, I had pegged it as the worst movie that I'd ever seen. Now, my taste was massively different then, and the circumstances of which I saw this movie was sort of while I was courting someone, and it just was not the intended effect of going and see the slow burn intellectual horror. So way before A24 was introducing The Witch for this elevated horror theme, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland were delivering 28 Days Later. And I just have to say, like, I'm super excited to sort of revisit the franchise because I think that it was visionary at the time. It was super well written. And I never had any problem with it, except what I wanted from a horror movie was shock and awe. And this was kind of like, you had to like really think about it. And at that age, I didn't want to think about anything except for the courting process, if you know what I mean. So now that my taste has evolved and I love the slow burn and the elevated A24 style horror, super stoked to revisit the entire franchise, particularly because I have this sort of newfound appreciation for the zombie genre. Even though I have tried some of the classics recently, it's like, I can't get into it. In the same way that The Sopranos ruined Goodfellas for me, that's kind of Walking Dead has destroyed Night of the Living Dead or The Evil Dead or any of the classic zombie movies that everybody loves. I just can't even watch them. Like I'll watch them in the background, but like I can't take them seriously because I know where the evolution is leading to, and I just can't take it anymore. Oh God, whatever. All right, 28 years later for me.
28 years later. Okay, 3 more picks. 3 more picks. One of the films I'm looking at, there's no info on Letterboxd, which kind of makes me think it's either stalled or maybe not going to be out this year. And then there was 2 other ones. One's a remake, and one is from a director that I enjoy, but can be very hit or miss for me. I think I'm gonna have to take. I've got 2 options here, and they're very different from each other.
My God, like you've not hit any of what I predicted out of your top 10.
Great, I love that.
Well, of what I mocked, I think there's quite a few movies left that you would really like to have. Man, I know there's some movies left you'd like to have.
I know there is.
I might even
I'm
tell them what you
saving
other-
them.
Okay.
I'm going to take Wake Up Dead Man, which is the third Knives Out film
Oh, right
by Rian Johnson.
Is Josh Connor's in that too? Yeah.
Correct. And here's why. So it's Daniel Craig, who we always know. He's good in all of them. He should be. He's the main reason you watch it. Josh O'Connor's in it again, but he's added Kaylee Spaney, who you and I have famously really liking. He's added Glenn Close to this one, and Josh Brolin shows up in it, and so does Mila Kunis and Jeremy Renner. So it's a pretty stacked cast, which he should be able to draw at this point because he's Rian Johnson with a lot of the other movies he's directed. Not the Star Wars movie. There's a few routes I could have gone. I've got 3 left. Yeah, I'll take this one.
Right on. Cool. I did not like either. Here's the thing.
They're entertaining.
I am so anti Rian Johnson. Take a stab. Why? Because he made the worst fucking film of all time, The Last Jedi. I don't care who we alienate. That movie is a piece of shit. I can't, and I have tried. I won't try again. I tried with an extremely passive. I want to accept it because I just need to get over that the franchise has not evolved with me the way that I would like it to. That is not in any way, shape, or form a good movie. Anybody that loves The Last Jedi, I implore you, go watch some Alfred Hitchcock, like some Orson Welles, some George Lucas, even some Steven Spielberg, and learn about what the craft of good filmmaking is. Oh God, I hate The Last Jedi so much. It was the silver bullet. It was the wooden stake in the heart of the Star Wars franchise for someone that grew up with Star Wars. If it's your introduction to Star Wars and that's how you came to it and you love Daisy Ridley, but let me tell you, look at The Acolyte Episode 5 and see what real choreography can do for the Star Wars franchise.
The one show that Disney canceled for Star Wars.
Based on that one episode alone, it should have gotten a season 2. But this is why, even with Josh O'Connor starring in it, who I love and I profess to love, man, I'd love to hang with you, dude. Come join the Film Dogs. Be a film dog. We invite you, Josh O'Connor, to be a film dog. I would say that because of Rian Johnson, it doesn't matter who's starring with him. Even if he co-directed with David Lynch, I'm not sure I'd see it on opening night because he destroyed a love of mine. He destroyed. Now it has made room for me to fill in the Star Wars void with other good intellectual science fiction. So I guess it kind of forced me into growing up. But man, he killed Star Wars for me. He really did. And there's no coming back from it because the piece of shit follow-up that came with it, The Rise of Skywalker, was just barely better. And that was bad. It's like barely better is half star to 1 star, which is what I'd rate both of them. God's sakes. All right, I'm going with Onslaught for my next pick.
Talk to me.
Adam Wingard, and the synopsis is described as a gonzo action horror thriller that follows a mother who falls back on a particular set of skills when an unknown threat escapes a military base. I've not seen any of this guy's films, but it stars Dan Stevens, was what kind of drew me to it. It's got Michael Biehn, who starred in The Terminator and Aliens.
You didn't watch any of his Godzillas?
No, I caught snippets, and I knew just as soon.
You didn't watch his remake of Blair Witch either?
No. Well, I did. Again, with these other things, like with the Blair Witch, I watched part of it. I was just like, oh, I just can't get into this. But I'm willing to give this one a little bit of an extra try. I think that he was learning his craft at the time, and that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I have watched the Blair Witch, but I wasn't totally into it. I've watched Godzilla, but these are background films. So when I say that I watched them, I would log them as having watched them, but I wasn't intent. I was probably having a conversation with you at the same time of watching it while writing a song and playing the guitar and learning some jazz. I probably had 50 things going on while I watched these guys' films. But this one, I think that maybe I'd like to give it an extra chance. There's just something about the term gonzo action thriller horror. As that description alone,
Yeah.
I'm willing to take a chance. Hey, like I had some misfires on last year's draft too.
Talk to me about this.
I had one misfire.
Talk to me.
The Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I still haven't watched it.
Spaceman.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good. I cut it from my team. It's officially off my team, but it's the only real bad pick that I had.
Is it in the G League?
If we need to revisit, I had actually drafted Horizon Part 1.
Oh, shut up.
And Mr. B traded his best movie off of his entire slate for my worst movie off the entire slate. Draft steal trade of all time. It's going to go down in the books.
I'm pretty sure with this draft this year, I think I'm coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. B people would be listening to the pod to be like, okay, I can respect him again.
I'll tell
as
you
a
what,
human being.
I am kind enough and brotherly enough and real enough, and I appreciate the truth more than anything. I will look at this list and I will tell you who I think has the better list, because you dude, obviously you took with your first 2 picks, 2 of my top 3 picks.
Yeah.
So automatically you've got a great bloody board. All right. I digress.
Digress indeed. It is your turn to pick.
Knives Out 3. Well, no, I'm sorry. I took Onslaught. So Onslaught's the gonzo.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, back to me. This is my last 2. I'm gonna take. I wonder if people listening to this podcast are going, "How have you not picked F1 yet? How has nobody picked it yet for either of us?" And the reason why is because that's how deep into directors and stories and film houses like A24 and other things that makes us not always go for the mainstream, what's always being talked about in Hollywood, what's always being talked about on every other podcast, and what's always in the news.
Hey, that's also a fair statement to revisit what last year was, because dude, you made at the time of drafting, it was just unfortunate that the ones that you rolled with, and it was a stroke of fortune, but Furiosa should have been fucking badass. Like it really should have. Joker 2 should have been extremely badass. And I'm not even saying, I think Joker 2 will age better than it's being received.
Yeah.
But that's just sometimes you roll the dice with something.
And I think Furiosa will age well.
I don't know about that.
Come back. Yeah. Well, come back to me in 5 years, 10 years time.
Okay.
20 years time.
I'll tell you that piece of shit was just as bad now as it was then.
You hurt my feelings. But with that, being said,
you have more than one feeling?
You hurt my feelings.
You hurt my
the movie.
Please revise that. You hurt my feeling. Feeling singular.
I'm taking F1, which is Joseph Kosinski's film, Top Gun Maverick, Tron Legacy, Oblivion. Those would be the films that everybody else would probably know. If you've got your head in the sand, it's Brad Pitt's next film. He is definitely the main star, but we do at least get Javier Bardem's in it as well. Carrie Condon's in it. And Damson Idris, who I don't know, but it sounds like that's going to be. They're talking about shooting time frames and budgets, and it's meant to be a mega film. Lots of money being spent, lots of film being recorded, and hopefully it's good.
Should we revisit?
Yeah.
Your 2024 pick that starred Brad Pitt, Wolves.
What's funny is I was just going to say, did you ever watch it?
No.
You didn't?
I don't want to waste my time. The whole motto of this podcast is don't waste your time on bad cinema. And I take your advice as well. You're like, that's a piece of shit. And everybody else said the same exact thing. I don't need to.
Let me Oh God. Let me read my review of Wolves. I drafted it last year. because it had friggin'
George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
I know.
It should have been awesome.
Dude, not even that. I mean, John Watts knows how to direct movies. He's he did some Spider-Man films.
Look at it. There's only 2 good Spider-Man films.
Correct. And he did not make those.
And they're both animated.
This is my review of Wolves. I gave 2.5 stars.
I hate that it's wolves. I hate it.
Yeah. And I said, why did anyone choose to make this movie? I mean, it'll burn 1.5 hours of your evening if you need to, but do you really want to just see Clooney and Pitt together again? My suggestion is, if you want them together, rewatch Ocean's 11. Otherwise, you'll be bummed.
Here's the thing. I totally 1,000,000% agree, which is what makes me miss some of the movies of the 70s where like Paul Newman and Robert Redford starred in movies together. Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder starred in many movies together. And this chemistry, like, it is bigger than what the film is itself. And that's what this film should have been. And maybe it will be, like, when history looks at it as opposed to now. It's like, let's look at the films of Brad Pitt and George Clooney starring together. And it might be okay. But, man, I know for a fact that I would hate this movie. I'm not going to waste my time on it. I'm just not going to. I will never watch it.
Yeah.
I don't need to. Like, here's the thing. There's a lot of people in our space that was like, they need to see absolutely everything. They need to have 10,000 films logged. Man, our whole motto is don't waste your time on bad movies or movies that are not your brand. It's like, why would I spend my time watching Wicked when it's not for me? I'm just going to end up not liking it and making other people not liking it or being down about it or being negative. And film should be something about positive. I'm not going to choose to watch something that I know that it's going to be that I'm going to hate. I'm not going to just do that. There's plenty of great films out there that I can talk about. I don't need to have flavor of the week armed in my arsenal to say how much that I hate it. Like, why would I waste my time? I don't want to shit talk a movie. Even Wolves, I don't like. That's not the purpose of this. Like, it's sort of illustrating some other things about our identity. Like, overall, I'm not disrespecting anybody's effort into going to make a movie. I just know this movie will not be for me. And by the sounds of it, it's not really for anyone. So I'm just repeating, like, there's nothing new here. This is not the genesis of the Wolf's hate.
Yeah.
At all. So just let that be known, Mr. Clooney and Mr. Pitt. I love you guys so much. I'm not interested in seeing this movie based on what everybody else has said. And I'm willing to take chances. And if it had come out in the theaters, I probably would have saw it on an opening night and then made my own judgment about it. But because it was released on a streaming platform that at the time I did not have at that time, by the time that I did, everybody had said, this is what this movie is. And that is not the movie for me. So God bless.
What you got with your
last pick of round 2?
Final pick.
I'm going to take Mother Mary by Mr. David Lowery.
Yeah, okay. It didn't make my list.
So Mother Mary by David Lowery, who is the supremely, oh my God, so good director of The Green Knight, of A Ghost Story.
I missed this film.
Ain't Them Body Saints.
Yeah, I'll need you to tell me about it.
An epic pop melodrama.
Okay.
Following a fictional musician and her relationship with an iconic fashion designer. Anne Hathaway is the lead, who's not like my main. I'm not the biggest Anne Hathaway fan, but I don't hate her. Like, she's just sort of like, for me, so far in the middle of the road, but I love all of David Lowery's work. Like, he's one of my up and coming, B+ to A- directors. But my main girl, FKA Twigs, stars in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited. I wasn't, while we're talking about Wolves, I also wasn't willing to see the Crow remake that she was in, but that has nothing to do with her. I probably could have gone and watched it just for her. And if I ever do watch it, it will be just for her. And I probably will watch it just for her because I love FK Twigs. But I love David Lowery even more. And you know how much I love A Ghost Story. And dude, when it comes draft night for that one, you better leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah, dude, you're not going to get it.
Well, that might just move it up to my number one spot. Well, but, dude, in order for you to get A Ghost Story, it means you're going to have to give up a couple other good ones. 17 draft is going to be awesome as shit.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be violent, I'm sure. Yeah, Mr. David Lowery. So I am going to roll with Mother Mary as my final pick of the second round.
Do you want to give any guesses on my final pick?
My second to last pick, actually. Sorry.
Or are you worried?
No, I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, okay, fine.
My guess would be Marty Supreme.
I don't know of that film, but
Okay.
I'm not going to be. I'm not going to. We do keep screens with us so we can make sure information is correct. But that in this term, this would be cheating for me to look and see what that movie is if I'm not aware of it right now in the draft.
Right on.
I'm going to grab The Running Man.
Oh, right on. Edgar Wright.
Yeah, Edgar Wright. And I thought maybe you were thinking I was going to draft it earlier because you had mentioned there's a bunch of movies on your list and I'm surprised you haven't seen them yet and things that we'd be interested in. It, I thought it was maybe because of the conversation
I had around
Glenn Powell.
And my mock draft for you, I had it at number 8.
Interesting. Yeah. It's a remake, but it gives me a science fiction thriller. A man joins a game show in which contestants allowed to go anywhere in the world are chased by hunters employed to kill them.
Did you see the original?
I'm trying to think back in my mind, and I
don't
think I have.
I saw the original in the theater.
Yeah, I definitely did not see it in the theater because I wasn't born yet. I was born the year
But let's
later.
say, here's the thing. The 80s was a crazy time for movies. Like, the action star hadn't been really defined. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the middle of defining what an action hero should be and what action movies should be. And the DNA of Arnold Schwarzenegger is over every single action movie that exists today. But it was still evolving at this time. So Running Man was one of these prime examples. And about the same time that Total Recall had originally come out. And so we had the Total Recall remake with Colin Farrell, which I thought was really good. Here's the thing: when you do a remake like that, the faithful from the 80s that are Gen X are like, oh no, that sucks. And then when it comes to like your newer generations, maybe it's not their style for the remake, but sometimes it works really good. I think this is a really good pick. I would have had I had this much higher for you picking. I thought it was right on brand for you because Edgar Wright also extremely good director. I have high hopes for this one.
He's serviceable.
Totally.
I have 3 other films that I was interested in, and this made the cut.
Right on. Well, let me make my final pick, and then maybe we can discuss having a couple of extra picks each until our board's depleted.
Maybe look and see if there's anything on the board that we want to trade.
Yeah, totally. Right on. Okay, so for my final pick of the second round,
yeah, man,
I'm going to take Mother, Brother, Sister, Mother by Jim Jarmusch.
Okay. I knew a little bit about it, but not enough. Go ahead and take it away, my friend.
So, starring Cate Blanchett. Starring Charlotte Rampling. Starring Vicky Krieps. Starring Adam Driver. Starring Tom Waits.
Did you pick this last because you knew I wouldn't pick it? Because Tom Waits was in it? I'm confused. Or did you think I wouldn't be aware of the film? Because you are right. I actually wasn't aware of the film. I don't know how I didn't know about it.
3 separate stories all concern the relationships between adult children, their somewhat distant parent or parents, and each other. Each of the 3 parts takes place in the present and each in a different country. Father is set in Northeast U.S., Mother in Dublin, Ireland, and Sister Brother in Paris, France. The film is a series of character studies, quiet, observational, and non-judgmental. A comedy, but interwoven with threads of melancholy. And Jim Jarmusch is a badass.
Yeah.
Now, I know you don't like him as much as I do, so I kind of felt safe because I don't think you've really liked any of the films that you've seen of him, But I honestly think that will change as you get more immersed, because like Only Lovers Left Alive, I thought for some reason, I thought that you would have bowed at the altar of Jarmusch just based on that. But because it didn't connect with you, it's like, I don't think this guy's style is particularly yours right now. But at the time you tackled that, I think you were
gave
still
it 4 stars.
Yeah. But I thought that you would have been like, man, this is for me, it's a 6-star. Tilda
And
Swinton.
I gave Patterson 4 stars.
Yeah, I dig it. Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Hey, The Dead Don't Die just got released on Netflix, so we should check that out if we don't do it tonight. Cool. Right on. So my final pick in the second round is Father, Mother, Sister, Brother.
Well, what I reckon we'll do is we'll read through our lists, and then we'll see if there's any trades that we want to do. And so I'll go first since I was the first pick.
You're going to propose a trade for me. Okay.
Well, no. Well, I'm going to go through my films so that
Sure.
a recap,
Right
quick recap.
Yep.
Number 1, I've got Begonia. Number 2, I've got Warfare. Number 3, I've got Black Bag. Number 4, I've got Judy. Number 5, Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. 6, History of Sound. 7, Ballad of a Small Player. 8, After the Hunt. 9, In the Hand of Dante. 10, Blue Moon. 11, Frankenstein. 12, Knives Out 3. 13, F1, and 14, Running Man.
Very nice selection.
It's pretty diverse. Because I did at least F1 at least gives me a blockbuster that you would hope, like, the world is going to say, the world is going to love. They're going to pay all their money and everybody's seen it. Knives Out 3 is going to be a similar, I think a lot of people waited for streaming for it, but became really popular once it was on streaming as a series. And
I've watched both of them.
Yeah. They're serviceable films.
I don't hate Rian Johnson so much that I won't watch his films.
Yeah.
I just hate him for destroying Star Wars. I'll still watch his movies. Honestly, there's a little bit of a disconnect. He's not totally my brand, but I have watched them, and I will watch this one too. If nothing else, man, I hope that it crashes and burns.
I've at least added a little bit of weird by getting Frankenstein in there. I'm taking a gamble on kind of movies like In the Hand of Dante.
I think that's going to be incredibly good.
I think it'd be good.
So interested in that.
Yeah, I'm even Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. That could be a gamble-ish. You know, who knows? Lord Marcus, tell me what 14 did you end up with?
All right. In the Film Dogs 2025 Anticipation Draft, your Lord Marcus has selected the following: One Battle After Another, the new film by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio with a $140 million budget, shot in VistaVision, like our 5-star films The Brutalist and Vertigo. I can't believe you didn't pick that. Phoenician Scheme by Wes Anderson. I also can't believe that you didn't draft that. The newest film from Wes Anderson, coming out in February. Number 3, I was going to originally take this number 2, but I had to make somebody pay for taking Begonia. Eddington, so I had to take Phoenician Scheme. I took Eddington, the new Ari Aster movie starring Joaquin Phoenix, about a sheriff in a New Mexico town. It is sure to be zany horror comedy.
Yeah.
Man, I can't say enough about Ari Aster. He's up there with Eggers for me as the modern vanguard of the guys guaranteed to get me into the theater opening night. Next, Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing. Mastermind by Kelly Reichardt. The Materialists by Celine Song. And No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook. Next, I went with Flesh of the Gods, the new film by the director of Mandy. It is certainly to be something that is to be seen, not of sound mind. The Bride by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Nouvelle Vague by Richard Linklater. 28 Years Later. My only franchise film. Onslaught, Mother Mary, and by The Auteur. Starring Tom Waits. Oh my God, Tom Waits. If you're not familiar with Tom Waits, you need to get into him. He's just the best. As an actor and as a musician and as an interviewee and probably even an interviewer, man, he is just one of the most interesting humans that has ever lived. I love Tom Waits so much. Father, Brother, Sister, Mother by Jim Jarmusch. Now, I still have quite a few films left that I would like to have, and I know for sure that there's some films I would even at this point, if you want to propose a trade, totally cool.
Yep.
But I would say let's try to get another 5 films each, and if you
no, we gotta stick to the rules. We gotta stick to law. We have to respect the listener. And we can talk about if there are proposed trades, we'll do that. But then we'll close with honorable mentions where we go, here's some that I go,
okay, right on.
Sorry, mate, because this is a draft. We kind of go, man, I went to the tryouts and I sent my scouts and they told me that this guy was going to be good and we really wanted him. All right. But we really wanted him. But when it came to the spotlight being on us and when he had to draft that pick, sorry, man, you didn't make the team. I wish you could be in my G League.
Well, we'll just have to address that in a free agency period where we go in and bid and auction against each other for some of these films. All right. Well, let's get right into any trade proposals that you might want to make.
I will trade you my number 2 pick, Warfare, Alex Garland. With it, I will propose, because you know how you talked about, there's other movies I wish I could have. You know how sometimes you can package picks and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I will give you Warfare if you give me the battle after...
One battle after another? The battle of Battle Across?
Yeah.
The PTA violent?
Yeah.
No, I reject that trade.
Okay. Ring. The Phoenician Scheme.
You want to trade Warfare for the Phoenician Scheme?
I will trade you my number 2 pick for your number 2 pick.
No, I reject that trade too.
Interesting.
Yes, I reject that trade.
I will.
Would you like a counter proposal?
I think I'm going to. I will counter propose. I will give you Warfare, and I will add in my 8th pick after the hunt, Luca Guadagnino. And what I would like in return is your number 1 pick.
Negative. I've rejected.
Ring. I will give it for your number 2 pick. And
how about I will tell you what my acceptable terms of a trade would be?
Okay, go ahead.
I will trade you directly. I'll give you.
You have other films that I'm interested in as well.
Okay,
don't think I'm just gunning for the number 2 pick, but that's the first trade that I'm.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll trade you
packages and stuff.
I will trade your number 2. I'm sorry. I will trade my number 2, the Phoenician Scheme, for your number 1, Begonia.
No.
Okay.
That's interesting. The impasse that we can get to of what has become our brands and also what we love and respect as I go.
You'd rather have Yorgos. Yorgos is elevated to you over Wes, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, as in his interest to me has been elevated. Yeah.
Right on. That's cool. That's the only trade proposal that I will make.
That's interesting. Would you?
But I will listen to some other ones.
You know how sometimes you throw stuff out for fodder.
Yeah.
I'm interested in not super seriously, but because you brought up some films I'm not aware of, I'm actually interested in your last 2 picks.
Okay.
Mother Mary.
Yep.
And Father, Brother, Sister, Mother. And because this is a draft and we're building teams, I would say I'm more interested in your final pick. And with that being said, I'd potentially be willing to let you draft as in you'd get an extra.
Oh, so
you know how how some teams give cash or they give future picks.
So what you're saying is that in addition to us swapping a
Yes.
film, that I would also get another pick on top of that.
Yeah, and why I'm saying is because as we're building sports teams, but they're movies, I can't give you cash where some trades offer cash, or they give future picks, which is actually a great option here. I don't want to. I could give you future picks, but with this year, I'm actually more interested in hearing on what you wanted to draft. So wondering if there's another film you'd be interested in having if you were to give up this one, because the moment you said what it's about, and then I kind of looked at the cast, and then, like I said, I'm not anti the director at all, but it struck a chord the moment you started giving me the synopsis and then knowing who's in it and going, yeah, I think I could connect with that. So it interests me.
No, I'm sticking with my boy, Tom Waits.
Yeah, but what if I gave you Warfare and In the Hand of Dante for Phoenician Scheme, and I let you take another pick?
So you give me Warfare and In the Hand of Dante for the Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah.
Done. I'll do that.
Yeah, I feel bad that I offered the extra pick, but I'm gonna let you do it. And here's why. Wes doesn't feel. It's kind of like Wes is my Ben Wallace from the 2005 Detroit Pistons, 2004 era.
Okay.
He was our center.
I bet he was violent as shit.
He was tall. They called him Big Ben.
That's what they call Ben Roethlisberger.
He belongs in Detroit.
That's what they call the clock in London.
He belongs in Detroit, you know.
Right on. Yeah,
Wes belongs with Mr. B. It doesn't feel right.
I know.
It's not
That's
that I
why
didn't trade him. I didn't trade him. He just, you got him at number 2. I didn't know you'd take him at number 2. And I go, that's on me. That's on me.
Hey, you know that my taste since we have met is also involved.
Yeah, correct.
We've watched a lot of West together. I think it was like
it's going to be a great film.
The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou was one of the first films we watched together. Dude, and The French Dispatch, I loved. You know that I loved Asteroid City outside of the shitty theater that we saw it in. Dude, and I've drafted Darjeeling Limited, so I am a huge Wes Anderson fan.
And here's what I think, though. I really think Warfare with Alex Garland, with the content,
it's also co-directed by Ray Mendoza.
I think it's more. I think it is 100% more a Lord Marcus film.
Yep, cool.
With Phoenician Scheme being more a Mr. B film. And I go right where they're sitting. I go, yeah, I need to have him on my team. And imagine me kicking myself when In the Hand of Dante ends up becoming the only movie that The Big Pick and all the other podcasts are going, wow, has anybody seen this movie? It's getting all these Oscar noms. Jason Momoa, they're going to give him best actor. Actually, sorry, it's going to be supporting because it's Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, totally.
Could you imagine that, a world that we live in? Momoa. Supporting actor.
Speaking of Oscar Isaac, I'd really recommend. I don't think you've seen it yet. We've not talked about it. He does a miniseries called "The Scenes from a Marriage," which was a remake of a film. It's it is really good. It's like a 6. I've not seen the original, but Oscar Isaac's remake with Jessica Chastain. My God, if you love Blue Valentine, dude, this is like a 6-hour version of Blue Valentine that
you've told me about
a different way.
You just said that if I couldn't handle Blue Valentine, don't ever watch it with.
But one of your top
women.
4.
Isn't that what you said? Don't ever
watch it on your own.
Yeah, watch it by yourself.
All right, so we're going to make that trade. Phoenician Scheme for Warfare, In the Hand of Dante,
which is my number 8 pick. So my number 2 and my number 8 are going for your number 2.
And an extra draft pick, of which I'm going to take Marty Supreme.
Nice.
For those out there in Film Dog Land
that
aren't familiar with Marty Supreme, it's the new film by Mr. Safdie.
Yeah.
And it stars Timothée Chalamet. And it follows the life of a ping pong player in the 1950s. Loosely inspired by the life of professional ping pong player Marty Reisman. It's starring Timothy Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, Tyler the Creator.
Mm-hmm. You know, he was great in the Jackass movies.
And here's the thing about Safdie is that Uncut Gems and Good Times, enough that the Good Times was enough to me, like, oh my goodness, I like all of his films. He's great at building these like close scenes. Like the cinematography is sort of right in your face, makes it feel really claustrophobic. I think he's extremely talented on how to get correct performances out of someone. And look, I thought for me, I thought this would be so on brand for you. I think it'll be really good. I love it. I'm also drafting it also as potential trade bait, which I'll do later in the draft.
This was going to be 100% hit or miss. I am fully aware of the movie and I'm fully aware of the cast. Because you also know that his brother is having his debut as well.
Yeah, totally. And that was, I thought that would be one of your picks as well, because of how much we liked both of those movies. Because
it's a worthy conversation.
You were the one that talked me in, because you know that I'm not a big Adam Sandler fan. You're just like, dude, you should check out Uncut Gems. It's so good. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I'll do it. I'll watch it. And I loved it. And then I watched Punch Drunk Love, which sort of closed out PTA for me.
Yeah.
And I loved it. By you recommending Uncut Gems has opened up a different world for me. And it's because of you, and it's also because of the director, because man, he is talented. Like the kind of cinematography, that sense of urgency, again, kind of like Celine's song, not everybody can do that. Like, you can't just take a camera and start filming things and it be that awesome. He is extremely talented. And our boy Timmy playing a ping pong player. I used to be huge into ping pong, and I bet, I challenge anybody out there that is listening to this podcast to a ping pong competition. I guarantee you I'm going to win. Guaranteed. There's nobody out there that can beat me. All right. So trade concluded. Marty Supreme, my final pick of the 2025 anticipation.
That's fantastic. With that, honorable mentions, Lord Marcus, I had three. My first one was Clara and the Sun, which you're not I don't think you're really fully aware of the director or love him, but Taika Waititi from New Zealand. And it's starring Jenna Ortega and Amy Adams. I kind of thought this would be up your alley because it's hitting the science fiction bell here. Clara, an artificial friend designed to prevent loneliness, is purchased by a mother and her bright teen daughter, Josie. Josie, who suffers from a mysterious illness, adores her new robot companion, and on a quest to save Josie and those who love her from heartbreak, Clara learns the power of human love. It's kind of like a conversation that we've had in the past. And I was like, that's an interesting content, interesting casting, and especially for like weird, funny stuff. Taika Waititi's great at it. And with this kind of being labeled as science fiction with the AI conversation, I wonder what he's going to do with it. And Amy Adams coming off of Night Bitch, which is coming out now, right about now, like it's been out. I'm interested in, what he's going to do with her. The other two I wanted to talk about was are you aware of Deliver Me from Nowhere?
Negative.
So this is directed by Scott Cooper. You may or may not be interested after I talk about it. Surprised you're not aware of this film. It's starring Jeremy Allen White, who we would know from The Bear. And it is visionary musician Bruce Springsteen embarks on an emotional journey to record in Nebraska. Did you listen or like the album Nebraska at all, or respect it?
Totally. Oh my goodness.
So I was very surprised you didn't know about the film. That's all. So Scott Cooper's he's directed Pale Blue Eye. He directed Hostels. He also did Black Mass and Crazy Heart. Would kind of be a lot of them that you would know. He also did a film, Antlers. He's kind of he can be hit or miss, but is it kind of a biopic? I don't know. Is it just a snapshot in time around just Nebraska? I do really like Jeremy Allen White. Yeah, what's he going to do with it? I'm interested to see. But I didn't really want to. I didn't really want to give a pick to it, but I did want to give it a nod. And then the last film I want to talk about is Happy Gilmore 2. I almost drafted it. I looked at my board over and over and over again and thought, could I take it in 14? And the main reason I couldn't take it at 14 is unfortunately because of the director who he's only made 3 films and this is one of the 3. And the other 2 are Adam Sandler movies that are not good at all. But at least he's able to bring back most of the original cast. Adam Sandler, Christopher McDonald, Julie Bowen, Ben Stiller, Eminem, Benny Safdie, and Margaret Qualley.
She's
getting around.
She's showing up everywhere.
Yeah, she's getting around. I loved original Happy Gilmore. It's a father-son film. My dad showed it to me. It's one of those movies. It's always on TV, and your moms hate this movie, and women hate this movie, and women hate Adam Sandler in comedies.
Here's what I'll say this about Happy Gilmore. It is prior to you lifting the veil of shame off of him for me. It was the only film of his that I really ever really liked. And it was one of the only films that Ben Stiller has starred in that I really liked. And I love that role of his.
I will watch this movie the moment I get a notification it's out.
And and in the movie Happy Gilmore, the grandma was Mrs. Chalfant off of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of connections to Happy Gilmore that I really appreciate. Because like Apollo Creed, like I always loved Happy Gilmore, but I hate sequels. They tend not to be good.
Correct, which is why I didn't draft it. Do you have 3 notables that you would like to honorably mention?
I definitely have 3. If I go to 4, please forgive me. The first one I'd like to say is the film Havoc by Gareth Edwards, who most recently did the film with Denzel Washington's son, The Creator, which was this was criminally underrated. I think time will be really kind to this. It was beautiful film with great modernistic relativity that was shot on minimal budget and looked as good as it looked even better than a $250 million movie. Like it looked so slick and so good. Havoc itself, let me just pull up the synopsis. Havoc.
Yeah, good find.
After a drug deal gone wrong, a bruised detective must fight his way through a criminal underworld to rescue a politician's estranged son while unraveling a deep web of corruption and conspiracy that ensnares his entire city. Starring Tom Hardy. And I have been waiting for Tom Hardy to totally Forrest Whitaker,
Timothy
Oliphant.
Yeah.
My goodness,
Louis Guzman, isn't it?
Look, I would have drafted, like, if we had kept on going with drafting, this was high on my list. So honorable mention to that. I hope that's going to be really good. I will see it in the theater. I didn't make an effort to see The Creator in the theater. I did love it on the small screen.
Yeah.
I would have loved it on the big screen.
I did see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I remember you saw it at Red Bank Plaza, and I was like, oh my God. I kept trying to fit it in, and it just didn't work out too well. The next film I would like, the film Alpha, which is the new Neil Blomkamp movie. So Neil Blomkamp, who has done some great movies, and I've been reinvigorated by him. I love District 9, but this year, based on Dev Patel, I watched Chappie, and it's not universally loved. I think people need to give Chappie a chance. It is it is absolutely phenomenal. It is so good. I do not know why this movie did not succeed. I think it was a moderate hit.
Yeah.
It should have been like talk of the year. It was so good. And I love Dev Patel, but like he's not even the reason that this movie is so good. It is so entertaining, so engaging. And this guy, Neil, he does like these little short films of like, these really great things. You catch it out on Prime. It's just it's like a little series of 5 and 6 minute short films that he does that are sort of science fiction based.
Yep.
He is so crazy good. So crazy good. I also really wanted to draft this. We just ran out of space. And then lastly, actually, there's one. I'm going to go with Guy Ritchie's The Fountain of Youth.
He's got a few this year.
Fountain of Youth is an upcoming American heist adventure film directed by Guy Ritchie. It stars John Krasinski of Office fame.
Yeah. He's been able to change his
totally. He's
persona.
a director and the Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan
and star,
series.
Yeah.
Stars Natalie Portman from one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah,
Ex Machina. Dom Hall Gleason. Look, I think that's going to be pretty good. I think this is what's going to happen because Guy Ritchie can be a little bit of a hit and a miss.
Yes, 100%.
But when you mix the kind of high-end action thriller with an interesting concept, that's where he thrives. So let's look at Snatch just as an example. Amongst a filmography of really great films and a couple of just average films, especially recently. But this is kind of like Guy Ritchie does Indiana Jones. This is like Guy Ritchie does Raiders of the Lost Ark. I only found out about this film this morning, so it didn't make. I didn't have enough time to sort of weigh it up. I just while I was doing research this morning, came up that on Screen Rant, it is scheduled as a 25 release.
Yeah,
but it's only been announced in the last couple of days, so it's not on the major. Nobody's really picking that up yet. That's sort of like a very recent announcement. So that's my final honorable mention.
Well
we
done.
Talked about the Smashing
I never
Machine,
thought I'd hear you talk about Guy Ritchie on our pod.
Why?
Not that he's off brand for you.
Well, I drafted The Gentleman. We talked about Guy Ritchie. I love Snatch. Snatch is, dude, when it comes to drafting that year, you better believe I'm going after Snatch for number 1.
So you're saying you like Dags?
Yeah.
You like Dags?
Right over there.
You like Dags?
I like dogs.
Well, Lord Marcus, this has been a fantastic draft.
I concur.
2025 is shaping up to be a fantastic year for cinema.
I
think we're going to be busy in the cinema.
If the cinema shows these films, I know a couple of them probably will go. I was going to draft a couple of films that were going to go straight to Netflix.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I just didn't get to it. But any of these films on your list or my list, if they play in the theater and we can get to it, I'm going to see it.
For sure.
Every single one. 30 movies. I'm going for a record. I want 25 to be the year that I spent the most time in the cinema in my entire life.
Well, you'll see us at the cinema, listeners.
Boom.
Get your butts there as well.
Fly to Brisbane, even if you're from Russia or Delaware or France or Macau or the moon or Andromeda or a galaxy far, far away. Unless you're Rian Johnson.
Lord Marcus will never forgive you.
God damn it.
Thanks for following along on our film journeys. If you want to follow along on social media, you can find us on Facebook as The Film Dogs, or you can find us on Instagram as Film Dogs. And you can also find us on Letterboxd under Lord Marcus and Mr. B. But hit us up. Let us know what you are anticipating for the 2025 season of movies. Who do you think has the better draft? And what do you want to hear more of? And what do you want to hear less of?
Boom.
And the main reason why is because life is too damn short for bad cinema. Woof.